is Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing another book. It's another book review. Let me get the book. But that is Damned If You Do by Alex Brown. I received a finished copy of the book via Alex and her team. So I'm going to thank them very, very much for this opportunity to review the book fully with all of my thoughts, my full honest review. So I do have quite a bit to get into it, so let's just kind of hop into the review. Damned If You Do is Alex Brown's debut. It is a YA horror comedy following young Cordelia, a stage manager at her high school. She's currently doing like a version of Our Town, I'd say, where this is like the inception of their town. It's like a play. It follows a boy who makes a deal with a demon, not the devil, to go ahead and create a town, which is her town, and that's the play that they're doing on the town's 100th anniversary, I believe. That is until one day Cordelia finds out she's made a deal with a demon way back when, and it's now time for the demon to collect on the deal. Now she has to help him trap another demon somewhere, get rid of him, or else she has to spend an eternity in hell with her abusive father. Trigger warnings for this: we have parental abuse, we have parental death, we have a lot of violence, a lot of gore, we got death, and we got depression. It's a lot of things for a horror comedy, but it's also, I feel like it's in line with a horror comedy theme. So if you're not mentally in the space to make room for this type of story in your mental bank at the moment, I was just probably not picking this up quite yet. The book also does have, I think, trigger warnings. Yeah, there we go. Oh, but alcoholism, child spousal abuse, death of a parent, and some gore. Moving on to my first thoughts about the book, I was actually tagged, I think, by my friend Vina, who I will leave linked down below. She's amazing. I recommend her videos. I love watching her. She tagged me in, I think I was Alex Brown's Twitter post requesting for some Filipino, I think diaspora, queer reviewers to go ahead and, ask us if they were interested in the book, and they'd receive an obviously finished copy to review. I said yes. And it was probably one of the best things I've ever said yes to in my entire life. Again, thank you to Alex and her team for giving me a copy, and thank you to Vina for putting my name out there and telling me about this opportunity. That was all the thoughts that I had about it initially. I actually did research the book a little bit when I was tagged in the post, and all I got from it was basically, I don't remember if it was if I found it on Goodreads, or if it was in the tag of the post, what the book was about. But it's basically, what it says as a tagline is queer Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Filipino folklore in this heartfelt horror comedy about a high school stage manager who accidentally sells her soul to a demon. And I love horror comedy, I love Filipino folklore. I haven't seen Buffy yet, but I have heard really good things about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I still need to watch it, but I've heard, just things about Joss Whedon that has me, maybe not wanting to watch it. But I was really stoked. I didn't really do much information. I think I don't remember doing much information, research, aside from just that tagline, just because I was it's queer, it's Filipino, it's a horror comedy, which don't read a lot of horror comedy novels, which I think I'll probably start doing because of this book. And it's about someone accidentally selling their soul to a demon. That's kind of enough to pull my interest. And then I think the cover was announced, or I saw the cover, and I was even more excited by it. Yeah, that's basically all for my first thoughts. I don't have a ton of first thoughts on this book, just because it was something that kind of just happened. It was something I was scrolling through looking for. Moving on, because this is kind of a shorter list for the things that I was not the biggest fan of. Again, pretty short list. I think in terms of a horror comedy, it was a little bit, it is YA too. It was a little bit light on the comedy aspect. There were definitely some zingers, some one-liners that I was oh, that's funny, and some situations that I was oh, that's funny. But I feel it was a little bit light on the comedy aspect. It didn't really, and I think part of it is because it is a debut. You don't really timing is a hard thing to figure out in any aspect, I feel, especially in terms of prose. So I think comedy comes out a lot more verbally than it does in books. So I'm not faulting Alex Brown for that. I think that the punches and like the one-liners and the little zingers in there and the little funny scenes definitely did add some of the comedic aspect to it, but I don't think it was strong enough for me to necessarily want to like categorize the book as like a horror comedy in my eyes. It's just like it was like balanced, but then the comedy for me wasn't strong enough. But I also have a really weird sense of humor. I love dark humor. I love dark humor. And so that was probably part of the reason probably why, is that my humor just doesn't like fully align all the time. Like I like dark humor, but then I also really enjoy a good stupid pun and a nice dad joke. So it's just like an odd balance for me. So I think that's probably why I was like not like rolling on the floor from or like dying of laughter, was because my humor just wasn't like exactly the correct humor that this book was trying to convey. The other thing that I wasn't the biggest fan of was that I felt like some of the side characters definitely felt a little less developed than Cordelia. Clearly, this is all written from Cordelia's perspective. It is in first person, past tense, so clearly the majority of the development that we are going to receive from is Cordelia, but I feel like we did definitely lose out on like that party aspect of like learning more about each character and developing them and having them become a bigger part of the story as it went on, and seeing them kind of like develop in their own little way. I definitely think we lost out on that, especially with the fact that there was a character that like they were introduced in the beginning, very much in the beginning, but it definitely seemed like they're just going to be a character that was just going to like pop in and out, and nothing too like dramatic with their like entrance into the book, you know? This is very much a side character that's just going to sit there. And then they kind of became a bigger portion like toward like the climactic portion of the book, and I was just kind of sitting there like, but why? So I definitely do think some of the side characters did fall a little flat for me. I wanted definitely to see more of them. I really had a nice like connection and a very nice like what's the word I'm looking for? Not connection, affinity. I really connected, there we go, with some of these side characters, and I wanted to see more of them. And I just think that that would have probably fleshed out the book a little bit more, instead of having like, you know, clearly Cordelia is the main where the spotlight hits. But I would have liked to have seen those other characters developed a little bit more, because then I feel like it would have fleshed Cordelia out a little bit more to see them grow and her reaction to all of these things. Moving on to the things I did like, I really did enjoy the incorporation of Filipino mythology. It was very like small. It wasn't like the entire thing was like littered in Filipino mythology, especially since the book does deal with a lot of things mainly from the Catholic canon, with how demons typically are. We see the hell, we see demons rising from hell, we see the depictions of the fires and the torture and the worm. But I definitely do think that the subtle like incorporation of it was interesting. I like seeing Cordelia fight with a traditionally Filipino weapon. I love seeing the incorporation of the aswang and the interpretation of the aswang as per the author, and how she kind of made it so it was like very Eastern meets Western, but still very respectful and understanding of the like Western aspects of it. I thought it was a fun thing to add, and definitely like developed out the fact that Cordelia is in fact Filipino, and she's not just like Filipino for the sake of being Filipino. She's like Filipino with these roots embedded in her, and this knowledge and this information does come out as she continues on. I really did enjoy that, and it was fun. I think this book will definitely lend to more potential novels within this universe. I especially like the jab at the fact that the demon who made the aswang doesn't really know what an aswang is, and was like, yeah, they only know from the Catholic canon, and I felt like it was a really nice jab for like a lot of people who are like, who just only like research the things from Western canon and from Catholic canon. It's very fun. I love seeing Cordelia kind of grow into herself throughout this book and learn to trust in herself, and learn to really like at the end of this journey become someone that she can look at in the mirror and be really proud of, and really just be emphatic towards and understanding toward, because I feel like in the beginning she's very much hard on herself. She doesn't really have an understanding of what actually went down that fateful night that she made the deal with a demon, and she doesn't really want to be this hero, because she is afraid that if she gives in to this like aggression and this violence, she just becomes like a mirror of her father, and it becomes exactly like her father. and I just like to see her kind of grow out of that and learn more about herself as she goes through the book. I also really loved her friendship with the other characters and her relationship with Veronica. I thought that her relationship with Veronica was such a pining, sapphic moment, and it's just so very sweet and touching to me. And the fact that it's two sapphic Filipino girls, that I was just like, oh, protect these children. And I loved how she like connected with each individual character, and it's just, I feel like she was a good point for to build the relationships off of. But I wanted to see again the side characters develop a little bit more and grow with Cordelia at the same time, and like strengthen that bond between them. But it was so good to read it, and it was just like a lot of their banter and the struggles they had between each other were just so funny, and I really enjoyed it. Her relationship with Fred, the demon she made the deal with, was also really nice and fun. It was very much like reluctant father figure or mentor takes on this child he didn't really want, and somehow becomes super protective of her and is willing to like learn and grow from himself as well. And that was fun, but again, definitely did suffer from the fact that he was a side character. We didn't get to see much of him at all, really. But I like that budding relationship and that budding like father-daughter situation that was going on. It was very interesting for me to read it, and I wanted more. So much more. And the last thing that I really loved was actually my most favorite thing. As you guys all know me, I'm a lore girly. I love lore, I love world building, and I loved the amount of world building that was put into this novel. I think that it was just really fleshed out, and the way that she like created these demons in her mind and their levels of power and the hierarchy, and how hell works in relation to this very human world and these very human people that have been created, and just everything about it and in between really was fleshed out. And I loved reading about the world. I wanted to know more about what hell looked like. I wanted to know more about Lucifer's role in hell. I wanted to know how demons rise up in hierarchy. Why do demons have a hierarchy? You know, I liked all of those things and more. And I liked, again, the incorporation of like non-Western mythology in there. I'm out of breath. Non-Western mythology in there. That was a lot of like fun, and definitely like had a bit more of like, only the Western know about their stuff. So I don't really care to dip into the Eastern aspects, which then begs the question, does that mean that Lucifer handles multiple factions, you know, of hell, where like here's the Eastern aspect of hell, here's China's demons, here's the Filipinos demons, here's Brazil's, you know, here is India's, just because like I know that every like culture has their own like varying version of a demon and what's not a demon. So I am intrigued to see where Alex Brown goes with this, and because of this world building and how fleshed out it was, I can definitely see this book becoming the start of like a multiverse, or like a cinematic, a bookomatic, a universe with multiple books set in multiple places with different characters, where things can be like fleshed out with this world, just because of how fleshed out the world building was and how fleshed out this concept was. I was like very intrigued by where she could go with this, and I want her to go more with it. If for some reason, Alex Brown, you are watching this video, which you should not be watching reviews, because, you know, you don't want to hurt your feelings, and you don't want, you know, not a space for authors. Please write more books set in this world where we discuss demons. I think it'd be fun. Moving on to my overall thoughts and wrapping up the book, or my review, I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy this book. I think it is a very strong debut, and there are a lot of things that can be grown from Alex Brown as a writer. I definitely wanted to keep reading more and more of the book. I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to see what happened. I just wanted to blast through the book while also savoring through what I was reading. I know I did say that I had my issues with it in terms of like the characters or the side characters, and then like the comedic aspect of it, but it didn't ding me to the point where I would like reduce my rating in any way or shape or form. I think again it is a debut, and like comedic timing is a hard thing to pull off, not gonna lie. Never would I ever want to be a comedian, but it's a difficult thing to pull off, to pull when should this enter the scene and how all these things work. And same thing with creating psych with creating characters, so it's not something that I'm gonna like ding the author too much on because it is just a debut, but everything else about the novel was strong, aside from those two minor things that I think will only grow with time as Alex continues to write. So it never really like bugged me as much. But I really did enjoy this book, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking to get into the horror comedy aspect of the novels. I think this is the good place to start. It's very light on it, and it's just like also just a very nice, very good thing to see more Filipino authors filling up my shelves. Like, look at that. We have about here to like here-ish. But I'm very excited to see where Alex Brown goes with this. I know she has another book coming out, and you can bet your bottom dollar that I am going to be having that book as an addition to the shelves. But that is it for my review of Damned If You Do by Alex Brown. If you guys like this book, this review, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys are looking forward to me doing more reviews, let me know what books you want me to review, and I'll try to like speed up that process. But until next time, hit like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.